Space Cowboys, Land Speeders, Tower Defense, Galactic Combat, and Run and Gunning, all wrapped up in one game and seamlessly integrated? Sounds too good to be true, especially coming from a 13-year-old game, right? Starhawk was released in 2012 on PS3, developed by Lightbox Interactive and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. It is a unique hybrid title that blends third-person shooting with real-time strategy elements. A spiritual successor to Warhawk, Starhawk takes the frantic aerial combat of its predecessor and adds a compelling new layer of base building and resource management. It earned a 77 on Metacritic, with positive reviews loving the nuances and layered gameplay. And even though the solo gameplay was a little lacking, the overall experience was polished and pleasant. Negative reviews said the game was made but not designed, at odds with its own mechanics, and just painfully straightforward. And the multiplayer was weak, and the weapons didn't pack any punch. The game is set in a future where humans are exploring and colonizing planets all across the universe. They're harvesting a resource called Rift Energy, with the miners being nicknamed Rifters. Rift Energy is both powerful and overpowering, as Rifters who get overexposed to the resource can get mutated into mindless zombie-like creatures called outcasts. The outcasts will fight everyone and anyone in order to get access to Rift Energy. So Rifters must not only be cautious of exposure, but also defend against their former workmates. We play as Emmett, a gruff, stereotypical lone wolf character with a tragic backstory that drives his hatred of the outcasts and powers his revenge. He and his brother were attacked by the outcasts and overloaded with Rift Energy. Emmett survived by having a regulator implanted into his spine by his inventor friend Cutter. This prevents Emmett from mutating, but his brother wasn't so lucky. So Emmett is on a mission, alongside Cutter, to defeat the outcasts and regain control of Rift mining sites across the colonized planets. First off, the art style in the cutscenes is awesome. Very borderlands cell shading, but also Call of Juarez gunslinger and comic book.
What next? How would I know? You all know. Just gonna make you tell me.
The world itself is reminiscent of Mad Max mixed with Red Faction, combining Wild West dusty plains with futuristic structures built into the landscape. Starhawk is a surprising mix of genres all thrown together. You start off playing a third-person shooter, and then you're given structures to build in a tower defense section. The next thing you know, you're in space, flying a mech that transforms into a ship. This all sounds overwhelming at first, but each one is done so well, it doesn't feel like you're being bombarded with things to learn and remember. Immediately, we're given a Sidewinder to get around, which gets us right into the big bad world. Combat is basic, but alright. Just aim and shoot, find ammo or weapons, and don't run out of health. Once we get to a compound we need to secure, we have to clear out the outcasts and then defend. This is where the tower defense is introduced, and it's almost seamless. By that I mean it feels like it makes sense for it to be there, rather than shoehorned in to make it work.
Socket them or spread them out. They're ready to call out.
We have to manage the rift energy, so we build an extractor, and then in order to defend, we're given other structures to build.
What kind of contraption is this? That thing ain't union grade.
That's a clean cap. Rig is pumping away, working like a charm.
In order to build, we need to stock up on rift, which can be found in barrels. And once our bar is full, we can get to work.
Sure you can handle this job?
I'll be just fine, Joe.
We have a supply bunker to help keep us topped off with ammo and weapons. Walls to slow down the enemy. And turrets to give us an edge in combat. Some structures have additional options, such as reclaiming them if we put them in the wrong place, or upgrades, such as upgrading walls to gates, which open and close when we get near them. After the fight, we're given a corral to build, where we can summon our Sidewinder and move on to the next area. Once we get used to fighting on the planet and doing a load of tower defense, we're given a friggin' mech. This hawk can transform from a walking giant to a combat spaceship with the press of a button. So we can fly around, but also land on solid structures for some close combat goodness. I'm not the biggest fan of space combat, but this was actually quite fun. There are pickups floating around for ammo and shields, so you can always restock while flying around. Though the space combat was a little overdrawn for me, it was cool being able to just land on random platforms and transform into a mech, and hit things or stomp on enemies. The transition from mech back to third person was again seamless and fitting, and you could just adapt from one mechanic to another easily. Fighting through the space station, there are parts where we can run and gun, and others where we have to stop and defend. These moments make sense and don't feel forced.
Okay, I'm showing the rift up ahead. I got a signal rig ready to drop on your mark. Signal rig heading to you. Ha-ha! Attaboy! The jump frequency is up. It just needs to stay that way until the tug arrives. Hold strong, Emmett.
And you're given some time to plan where to put structures before combat begins, which takes off some of the pressure when building and allows strategic planning for the bigger fights.
I always have been pretty good at that. Launch the turret.
Once we've worked our way through the station, we're given a launch pad to build, where we can summon our hawk and head back into space. The level ends when all the outcasts have been defeated, and we move on to the next planet to rinse and repeat.
Well, your tongue's made if this says you're holding a badge.
There is multiplayer, but I didn't try it for, obvious reasons. But from reviews, it doesn't sound like I missed out on much.
That's how you grab a scab.
I have no idea why Starhawk isn't mentioned more when people talk about hidden gems, because this really feels like one. The effortless way it swaps between different genres and mechanics is very clever. And even though the story and characters are kinda generic, the overall feel of the world is interesting and engaging. I guess if you really dislike tower defense or space combat, then it makes sense to avoid this game, as there isn't an exact balance between each section. But as someone who tolerates these mechanics, it's enough to keep me playing without feeling frustrated or burned out on one thing. The graphics hold up quite well considering the age of the game, and the world and environments are interesting and varied, so you want to see what the next planet looks like and explore it. I suppose the fact that it's stuck on PS3 makes Starhawk an overlooked title. But if you've got a PS3 gathering dust somewhere, this is a game you really need to give a go. Even just to experience the different mechanics switching between themselves. Or, you know, stomping random enemies in a mech. Which, let's face it, is always fun.
Okay, you'll need to hoof it to the control room. There should be an airlock down there somewhere.
This was fun. Let's do it again sometime. And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like down below.